So I will just Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namini. Namaste Saraswate Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, Text 41. This is the shloka I've been given. I hope this is the right one. I think this is Kapila's teachings from Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So, reading from Canto 3, Chapter 25, Text 41. Nānyatra bhagavataḥ pradhāna-puruṣeśvarāt ātmanaḥ sarva-bhūtānāṁ bhayaṁ tīvraṁ nivartate. Once more. Nānyatra bhagavataḥ pradhāna-puruṣeśvarāt ātmanaḥ sarva-bhūtānāṁ bhayaṁ tīvraṁ nivartate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. For I am the Almighty Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of all creation and also the Supreme Soul of all souls. It is indicated herein that the cycle of birth and death cannot be stopped unless one is a pure devotee of the Supreme Law. It is said, Harim vinana shitim taranti. One cannot surpass the cycle of birth and death unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same concept is confirmed herewith. One may take to the system of understanding the absolute truth by one's own imperfect sensory speculation, or one may try to realize the self by the mystic yoga process. But whatever one may do, unless he comes to the point of surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no process can give him liberation. One may ask if this means that those who are undergoing so much penance and austerity by strictly following the rules and regulations are endeavoring in vain. The answer is given by Srimad Bhagavatam. Ye anye aravindaksha vimuktamaninaha. Lord Brahma and other demigods prayed to the Lord when Krishna was in the womb of Devaki. My dear lotus-eyed Lord, there are persons who are puffed up with the thought that they have become liberated, or one with God, or have become God. But in spite of thinking in such a puffed up way, their intelligence is not laudable. They are less intelligent. It is stated that their intelligence, whether high or low, is not even purified. In purified intelligence, a living entity cannot think otherwise than to surrender. Bhagavad Gita therefore confirms that purified intelligence arises in the person of a very wise man. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many births, one who is actually advanced in intelligence surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. While the surrendering process, one cannot achieve Without the surrendering process, one cannot achieve liberation. The Bhagavatam says, those who are simply puffed up, thinking themselves liberated by some non-devotional process, are not polished or clear in intelligence, for they have not yet surrendered unto you. In spite of executing all kinds of austerities and penances, or even arriving at the brink of spiritual realization and Brahman realization, they think that they are in the effulgence of Brahman, but actually because they have no transcendental activities, they fall down to material activities. One should not be satisfied simply by knowing that one is Brahman. He must engage himself in the service of the Supreme Brahman, that is Bhakti. The engagement of Brahman should be the service of Parabrahman. It is said that unless one becomes Brahman, one cannot serve Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity is also Brahman. Without realization that he is Brahman, spirit, soul, and eternal servitor of the Lord, if one simply thinks that he is Brahman, his realization is only theoretical. He has to realize and at the same time engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. Then he can exist in the Brahman status, otherwise he falls down. The Bhagavatam says that because non-devotees neglect the transcendental loving service of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, their intelligence is not sufficient and therefore these persons fall down. The living entity must have some activity. If he does not engage in the activity of the transcendental service, he must fall down to material activity. As soon as one falls down to material activity, there is no rescue from the cycle of birth and death. It is stated here by Lord Kapila, without my mercy, nānyatra bhagavataḥ. The Lord is stated here to be Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, indicating that he is full of all opulences and is therefore perfectly competent to deliver one from the cycle of birth and death. He is also called pradhāna because he is the Supreme. He is equal to everyone, but to one who surrenders to him is especially favorable. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is equal to everyone. No one is his enemy and no one is his friend. But to one who surrenders unto him, he is especially inclined. By the grace of the Lord, simply by surrendering unto him, one can get out of this cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, one may go on in many, many lives and may many times attempt other processes for liberation. Om Tat Sat. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nittai Gaura Premanandi. Very interesting set of shlokas where Krishna is glorifying how he protects his devotee. In the previous shloka I read, Imam lokam tataibamum ātmanam upayāyinam ātmanam anuye chehane rāyah pashavo grihāha visrijya sarvān anyāmscha māmevam vishvato mukham janti ananyaya bhaktya tan vritayor atiparaye. Thus the devotee who worships me, the all-pervading Lord of the universe, in unflinching devotional service, gives up all aspirations to be promoted to the heavenly planets or to become happy in this world with wealth, children, cattle, home, or anything in relationship with the body. I take him to the other side of birth and death. Very relevant. So, Harim vina nashitim taranti. Prabhupada is speaking this talking about this in the purport. Without the mercy of the Lord, you cannot overcome birth and death. So, birth and death, it's mentioned here, is very fearful. Fear. Why fear? Fear is because of not knowing the truth. Fear is because of being in ignorance. And the ignorance here is that I am this body. And all my investments are on this body. Bhayaṁ dvitiya biniveshatasya ishat apetasya viparyayo asmritihi. Asmritihi, having forgotten. Right? Bhayaṁ, fear creeps in. Dvitiya abhivinesha tasyat. You see, if we accept this duality, matter in the material world and you are spirit. So there is a certain type of situation that we are in, which is highly incompatible. And on the one side, either you have to accept your true identity as spirit soul, or you have to live in the temporary identity that I am this body. And this temporary identity is repeatedly, constantly fear-based identity. We constantly are harassed with the thought that this body will one day die. But that is when you're intelligent, you can understand that this body will one day die. In fact, it will fall down. Idam shariram parinama peshalam patati avashyam. Definitely it will fall down. But in most of our life, we are in illusion. We are not in the wakeful, fully conscious state about our identity. We flitter through it. Once in a while, we sit in a Bhagavatam class and we start thinking about it. Once in a while, it strikes us, actually, this world is very temporary. Once in a while, we know these relatives and all these possessions will go away when I die. But then quickly, there is a covering. Quickly, avrinatmika and prakshepatmika potencies, the covering and throwing potencies of Maya, quickly cover that knowledge. And you go ahead with life again and again. So that illusory status is our status of thinking that this is my identity, this is my existence, this is my existential reality, this is who I am. It's all invested in the body. But if you think a little deeply, you understand that, but this body is going to finish. I've invested everything in this body, my hope, my future, my sense gratification, my everything. But obsolescence, gradual degradation of the body is occurring right in front of you. Right? Gradually, you are degrading yourself. It just invariably will fall down in front of you. So this dichotomy of thinking this is your existential reality, investing in this, but at the same time also knowing by your intelligence and by reading and by understanding and by deliberation that this will not last, is one of the most greatest excruciating pains, fear, and all this mixed together. Because you know both. The soul actually very well understands, I am spirit soul, I am eternal. But this temporary covering of illusion and this temporary thinking of this ID is two things you have to grapple with. That is why you should operate on the platform of intelligence if you want to get out of this trap. Buddhi Yogam, Krishna is explaining that. You accept this particular situation that I know I am in the temporary body by quirk of fate, by some other thing that happened. I am understanding. I would like to be situated constantly in the platform of reality, not just existential reality as of now, but my permanent existential reality, my constitutional existential reality. Conditional state, my reality is my body. That's all I see and I know. And it's constantly asking and harassing me for many wants, and I supply it. And in this way, there is some sort of a reciprocal, acknowledgement. And therefore, my this identity is this for now. But by reading Bhagavad Gita, by reading Bhagavad, we come to know the other side. And Krishna is saying, I can take you to the other side of no birth, no death, provided you travel with me. You understand these instructions with intelligence. Intelligence is very important. Intelligence is very important to understand. In the end of Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj is accusing Shukadeva Goswami is accusing Parikshit, saying that Pashu Buddhin Imam Jati. You please give up this mentality, this animal mentality of thinking that I'm going to die. How can you die? Your spirit soul. It's the body that is dying. And why are you taking it on yourself, the whole cloak, skin-tight cloak that, I'm going to die, therefore, and suffering this fear. Can't you see that as soon as you're dead, you'll find yourself, you're still existing? Your existential reality is forever. But this existential reality, when it gets cloaked with this material form, cloaked with this consciousness, contaminated, then it suffers the temporary understanding that I'm going to perish. I am this body, my wealth, my associates, my relations, my assets, everything is going to finish. That fear constantly drives you. And at the end, lo and behold, it's true. You will die. You will die. So that fear of death can only be overcome, Kapila is saying here, Lord Kapila, by taking recourse in me, by surrendering to me. Ahanyahanya bhutani gachanti hayamadayam seshastavar vichanti kimascharyamatha param. That Yamaraj is talking to Yudhishthira through the disguise of being a yaksha. Wonderful thing Yudhishthira answers in this world, the most wonderful thing I see is that people are constantly dying and going to Yamaloka. But those who stay here are under the great illusion that that will not happen to me. Others die, I live forever. This is a great illusion. We are amidst the coronavirus. Yesterday, I heard about the passing away of a very senior devotee, the president of Ahmedabad temple for many, many years. And he did a lot of service for Srila Prabhupada in many different areas, with the PBD, with Gujarat, and Prabhupada gave him personal instructions. And he passed away. He was a very good senior elderly person that I would look up to. One of the persons I looked up to very much in terms of his astute understanding of Prabhupada's books. Even in the material world, very sharp, making distinctions, legally very good. He was a bureau member, and I miss him. But I am not feeling so bad. There's one thing I know about this devotee, His Grace Yashomati Nandan Prabhu, is that he is very intelligent. He nicely understood Prabhupada's books, and he was rendering devotional service to Krishna in a good platform of understanding. And I am feeling that he knows where he's going. He knows he's not really dying. He knows that his body is just moving away because it is old and decrepit and cannot be used much anymore. And COVID-19 is not really the reason. It's an apparent reason. Krishna has decided to take him to the other side, as it's mentioned here. I sort of have a deep feeling that's it. Krishna has taken him as the right time, and for the outside world, COVID-19 is the reason. Of course, he had a lot of ailments and problems with him. His body was, like he said, patatya vasham, going down day by day. And the time came, and he has left. And the whole worldwide community of devotees know that His Grace Yasomati Nandan Prabhu did his best for Prabhupada's movement, and Prabhupada will take him back to Krishna. This is a solid feeling I have. I just don't want to say it's my faith or anything. Deep inside, the gut feeling, the intuitive feeling that I have is, yeah, he's gone back to Krishna. And he needn't be afraid. We needn't be afraid. This is what Shukadeva Goswami told Parikshit. What are you afraid of? You heard Bhagavatam for 7 days from me, and you asked so many questions, and you're so interested in it. You're absorbed in it. And so was I too, while giving you answers for it. Why we need to worry about it? You're going to pass away, I'm not worried. And Parikshit also said, yes, that snake or whatever it is want to come and bite me, and let them come and bite. Finish. I am already absorbed in Krishna. Beautiful verse. So if we take this instruction of Lord Kapila seriously, wherein he's saying, if you get surrendered to me, then I will take you to the other side of birth and death. The constitutional side that you have, the eternal side, the spiritual world full of spiritual planets, it's a reality. It exists. And these statements are made repeatedly by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavatam devotees are talking about it. Do we believe it? Let's feel our pulse. Do we actually believe? And if we do believe, why there is a fear that I'm going to die? Let it be coronavirus, could be the reason, but nobody is going to die without Krishna sanctioning it. Nobody is going to die without his correct time period getting over under Krishna's superintendence. You were born under Krishna's superintendence. Karmana daivanetrena jantur deho upapattaye striya pravishta udaram pumshareta kanashrayah. Karmana daivanetrena jantur deho upapattaye. Deha is acquiring a body under the superintendence, under the eyes of the Supreme Lord. You take birth, you get this body. Similarly, when you die, especially if you're a devotee who has endeavored to be Krishna conscious, you will die under the eyes and under the superintendence of the Lord. So what do you need to fear? We need to only fear that we should remember Krishna at the time of death. We should not forget. And if you've constantly chanted Krishna's names, if you've constantly tried to endeavor, and though you may not be perfect, endeavor and serve Krishna according to Prabhupada's instructions, Guru's instructions, Vaishnava's instructions, then there is no doubt that you are a very special person. Because the whole bulk of the population don't do that, don't get the opportunity to do that. So where is the fear? What is it that we are afraid? It's false fear. If we intelligently think and deliberate and move introspectively, then we can actually allay these fears. What is needed is to constantly be in touch with yourself, with Krishna, with the reality by reading Bhagavatam regularly. This is what happens if you read the Bhagavatam regularly. You'll be in touch with yourself and the reality constantly. Constantly. And this is the great boon given to us by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He has handed over the Srimad Bhagavatam to us with his brilliant purports. And if you read them, it is just this side and that side. We can be on this side and waiting to go on that side in the queue. Or we could actually neglect the Bhagavatam and think that this side is all there is. Krishna is saying there's another side, I can take you to the other side of no birth, no death. Right? No birth, no death. Janma vrittu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. In this world, you just see birth, death, old age, and disease and constantly struggle with it. But there is another side. The hope that there is another side is knowledge. The hope that what Krishna is guaranteeing is definitely achievable because Krishna says that Putam madbhavam agataha. In the past, many people followed this and achieved. Purvai purvataram kritam kuru karmaiva tasmatvam. He's telling Arjuna, do the same way like in the past, previously people did and achieved that other side. Purvai purvataram kritam. That's why we are engaged. If somebody asks me, how do you know this is true? I am engaged in it because in the past many people did it and achieved it. How do you know? It's a statement mentioned by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Once we say that, if you're a real believer in religion and in some way Sanatana Dharma is something associated with you, you have to stop there. You cannot say, You cannot ask me a question. How do you know what the Bhagavad Gita says is true? Well, I think I know what Bhagavad Gita says is true from my own experience in this world. I'm watching people die. I'm watching them undergoing the threefold miseries. I'm watching anxiety in me. And I can see that all this is happening to me because of my identification with the body, as per what Krishna has mentioned. And similarly, I'll also be afraid of death if I identify with the body. So it is such a very amazing situation that you can see death. Prabhupada said, every moment you're dying. Every second you're dying. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, you're becoming closer to death. You're being pushed by time closer to death, and you're going to die. You can see that. Only a very foolish, unintelligent person who has no capacity to introspectively think can say that, I will not die, foolishly, stupidly. Every moment you're dying. Death is the only sure thing happening to you every moment. And you can prove that you're dying regularly. Every day, every second, you're eroding and bringing yourself closer to death. It's a fact of life. So, how are you going to face this reality of death? That's a big question. If you want to close your eyes and bury your head like an ostrich into the sand and think that there are no pack of wolves, there is no, enemy of mine, I don't see anybody in. Put your head inside the mud. Lo and behold, you're just offering yourself to death. They come and this immediately catch your neck. Immediately catch your neck. So it's pathetic sometimes to watch people growing old without this understanding and realization. And then stricken with all sorts of fears and anxieties and ignorance. And dying with great bewilderment. Dying with great confusion. Not knowing what's happening to me, who's doing it to me. Please do something about it. Doctor, save me. My wife, save me. My husband, save me. Please, please, somebody do something to me. Pathetic. Pathetic. Don't die like this. Read the Bhagavad Gita. Read the Bhagavat. Deliberate on this. Death is for sure. But you don't die. Na jayate mariyate va kadachin. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Death is for this body. And you are not the body. You are spirit soul. You don't die. Na jayate mariyate va kadachin. This is actually wonderful news. Great news. It's meant to keep you very happy and thrilled that I don't die. Because the truth is, as soon as your body dies, consciousness still exists. You are still aware. You are still there. Everything came from you through the body. The body is dead. The dress is gone. But you exist. And you will know this is what you will experience. Well, if you've done horrible, sinful activities, then Yamadutas will drag you to Yamaloka. But you've tried your best and you kept Krishna conscious, then there is a good chance that Krishna has a plan for you. It won't be horrible. It could be very good. And these are the things that are going to happen to you. But don't think that we can continue to live in the illusion that I'm not going to die and continue to seek gratification. Because after some time, this body anyway cannot gratify you. It loses its capacity to gratify you. And that sign is being given to you. You get coronavirus, you lose your sense of smell. You lose your sense of taste. And for some people, I saw somebody sent me a clip of a person talking that I'm not tasting for the past 6 to 7 months since I came out of corona attack. So he's feeling horrible that I have no interest in eating food. I can't smell any perfume. I can't smell anything. This is indication of death, actually. Faculty is being detracted from you. This is what will happen to you. The body will no more serve you. Gradually, it will deteriorate. And you have a lot of problems. It's a machine. It's a machine. You are not that machine. You are not that machine. So let's seriously understand what this means. What this means, right? So, angam galitam palitam mundam dasavihina jatam tundam vriddho yati grihitva dandam tadabina munchati asha pindam. Shankaracharya's beautiful quote on this. He's saying that pathetic soul, the old man, right? Angam galitam, all his limbs are atrophied, become thin, just skin and bones. Angam galitam phalitam mundam. All his hair has fallen off and he's become mundam, bald, shiny, bald. Dasavihina jatam tundam. His teeth have also fallen down. His gums are showing. Vriddhoyati grihitva dandam. He's so old he cannot move on his own. His limbs are very, very ineffective. So he needs a dandam, a stick to move. Tadapina munchati asha pindam. But all these things are happening, but the desire in the heart, asha, pindam, that, pinda, that blob of desire in his heart, that is not decreasing. That is not melting down. There's no meltdown of material desire. It's remaining the same. Isn't that very incompatible and pathetic that you have to go through death like this? This is what carries you to the next body. Your desire, material desires have not diminished, and you still have not cultivated the knowledge that you're not this body, your spirit soul, and you're not connected the knowledge that the Supreme Lord Krishna is your Supreme Father, and He's awaiting you, and relationship with you, take Him back to Godhead. You've not yet cultivated it. So it's pathetic. Having achieved the human form of life, you have wasted it just catering to many different types of duties. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bachasvamam. This temporary illusory existence, which is miserable, you have achieved that somehow or the other. At least now worship me. So Kapila is saying, unless you surrendered to me, there is no question of you escaping the clutches of death. Mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Right. So you're watching it. Death is occurring to you every moment. Your molars will slowly rot and fall down. You can't chew anymore. Your skin will wrinkle up like nothing. Your digestive system will get affected like nothing. Your breathing can get affected. Your eyes can not focus anymore properly. All these things are, your machine is falling off. And no great doctor can repair it. Right? Now they are thinking the illusion is extended beyond. And that is even more pathetic. That no, I heard a person telling me that no, very soon we'll conquer death. Aging process is being examined now. We've developed a particular type of a gene, what do you call a genome combination. The tweaking with the RNAs and DNAs, those molecular structures, those RNAs and DNAs which actually cause aging, we are able to get hold of that and we are able to change things. Well, death is not just keeping the body alive. Death means the soul leaves the body, and that's not under your control. How do you make the soul sit in the body? Whose control is that? So you may keep this machine. Maybe you will patch it up. We're already talking about transhumanism. Transhumanism means you make a better body than what you have, a greater version of this body. They call it H1, H1.0, the next version of your human body. Like there is aging and there are problems here in this machine. They have understood that if we can be without falling dead, if we can actually stop this aging process, I can continue in this body. That's actually a good level of understanding, because at least you understand that you are not this body and you are permanent, and let me do something to this body and continue in it. Great. Although it's impossible, But at least you are on some track of thinking which is very close to the reality that you are spirit soul. So what they're doing is they're actually bringing technology inside this machine of a body. It's very interesting because you're talking about investing intelligence inside machines. They call it deep learning, machine learning, and AI work, bringing our intelligence into the machines. I am excited about this because people have started thinking, who am I? Am I this machine? Who am I as a conscious personality? So it's bringing us very close to this understanding. So transhuman means I bring technology inside this machine and up this machine. You get a better version which doesn't deteriorate, which doesn't age. That is not going to happen. Why? You may not age. Okay, assuming that you get that I may not age thing and set it right. But you have no control over the soul in this body that you can make it stay there. It's not within your purview. You have a fixed amount of time in this body and it's controlled by higher forces. You will see that although your body is very good and spent a lot of money technologically to up it, you still will leave the body. And that is death. Death is not that you'll stop the aging of this machine and repair it and put it, say some other materials and all that inside. That's not death. Death is defined as leaving the soul leaving the body. Soul definitely leave the body. So Kapila Dev's instructions are very important in this day and age. There is a way of keeping yourself permanent, eternal, and that is by listening to the instructions of Lord Kapila. If you surrender to me, sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣayisyāmi mā sucaha. Ma sucaha, don't worry. Don't fear. You will not die. If you surrender to me, manmana bhava madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru, then I will take you to the other side. You can live eternally in your spiritual body, in the spiritual realm, with many others like you to keep you company, and the Supreme Lord Himself to keep you company, with a very high quality of life, eternal, forever, with no anxieties of birth, death, old age, disease, because this material body will not be there with you. This is a proposal given in the Bhagavatam. And devotees of the Lord have full faith. Right? They have full faith. Take me, my Lord. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam advaiva me vishatu manasa rajahamsa prana prayana samaye kapavada pitto kantavarodana vidos smaranam kutaste. All I want is to remember you when I leave this body, so that I come back to you. Antakale chamamena smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam. You will achieve the same situation like Krishna in the spiritual world, in the eternal world, in the eternal realm. That is promised by great personalities also. This is Kulashekara Alvar saying, while I am alive, while I am young, while my body is fit, and while I am able to meditate on you and completely swim in the shelter of your lotus feet like a swan in a lake, entangling itself with the stem of the lotus and swimming in between the lotus and all that. Let me entwine myself at your lotus feet. Let me right now give up my body and go back to you. Please take me, is the prayer of the devotee, because he knows that if the Lord is surrendered to, He will take you back to Godhead. This is a reality. So Kapila Dev is telling his mother, my dear mother, understand, becoming my devotee is everything. It's highly advantageous. It's highly thrilling experience to be serving Krishna. So devotees of the Lord are normally not afraid of death, because the poisonous fangs of death have been plucked out. And you have a toothless serpent trying to tell you, oh, you're going to die, what are you going to do? But death cannot sting you, because you pull the fangs out of death. This is what Parikshit did when he was cursed, that he's to die within 7 days by a snake bite. What he did is, the bite's fangs he pulled out. You can bite for the external world. You can't get me because I'm spirit soul. You can get my body and you can turn it to ashes, but me you can never sting. You're stinging my body, not me. I live forever. This very strong faith Parikshit Maharaj had. He encountered death. And it is mentioned that he was so absorbed in Krishna, his body getting stung and disappearing was of no consequence to him. He didn't play really any great consequence. So this is advised in the Bhagavatam. And if we take this up very seriously, we will also be able to do that. It is a fact. Death and dying, the art of dying, is something that we can learn from the pages of the Bhagavatam. As we watch many great personalities like Parikshit, like Bhishma, all giving up their bodies with a plan and Krishna assisting them. Krishna assisted death plan is a plan that we should make. KADP, Krishna assisted death plan. Everybody should write down this plan and be ready. It doesn't matter if it is corona. It doesn't matter if it is a common flu. Right? We should be prepared, because it can come in any way. But if we are Krishna conscious, we will tide that. Om Tat Sat. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.